Dave, thank you for inviting us to your beautiful thatched cottage here in Wiltshire.
Pleasure.
Many people know you as the originator of the Cynefin framework and for your work in complexity. Today, we're going to explore another of your creations, SenseMaker. FirstHuman first became familiar with SenseMaker when we partnered with your company, Cognitive Edge, to deploy the platform at a major media client. First off, in a nutshell, how would you describe SenseMaker?
I think there are three basic elements to SenseMaker. One is the ability to capture what we call observational narrative, either through journaling, people keeping daily diaries of their lives, or through what's called non-hypothesis questioning. If you were talking with your friend about your job, what story would you tell them? The second thing is the ability to self-interpret your own story into a quantitative framework. So whereas a traditional questionnaire would ask a question like, does your manager consult you on a regular basis? You know what the answer is then. So you engage in very superficial process and you don't think about it too much. We actually have 6 triangles, and one of the triangles might say, in this story, contextual, was your manager's behavior altruistic, assertive, analytical? So you have to balance 3 positive qualities.
Yeah.
Net result of that is a cognitive load, so you have to think more deeply. You go from thinking fast to thinking slow, to use the popular language. We get better data. And the third element is the ability then to represent that data in landscape maps, like contour maps. So dense clusters indicate strong views, less dense clusters, the weaker views, but we can also identify outlier views or people who are thinking differently. And the same applies in companies. What you want to be able to do if you're thinking about something is present something ambiguous to your entire staff, get them to interpret it, then you find out the people who are thinking differently before your competitors do.
Dave, could you describe a couple of examples where SenseMaker has made a big impact in the field?
So for example, with one of the big aerospace manufacturers in the States, right? We moved there into continuous capture of engineering records.
Yes.
Which meant we could look at the underlying attitudes to rule compliance and safety and show the way in which, in actual fact, excessive imposition of rules was forcing people to break the rules in order to get the job done.
And did that ultimately result in an improved safety record?
Oh yes, because what they basically did was to actually stop providing excessive constraint.
Right, okay. I understand there's another example where you've worked with the authorities in Bangladesh.
That was looking at hygiene factors and the take-up of pit latrines and those sort of areas. I mean, a related one I worked on, which is similar, is what we did in Ghana. So in Ghana, what we actually found is that the take-up of clean water was not linked to poverty.
Okay.
People who were poor would actually invest in clean water if a neighbour on comparable income invested in it. So actually, by looking at the narrative, we could actually make a radical difference very quickly to public health.
So what do executives get from the SenseMaker platform, and how can they use it?
We can identify stepping stones, what are called adjacent possibles.
Yes.
So clusters of narrative which are in a better place from where you are, but are close to where you are. So more stories like this, fewer stories like that. You can achieve an evolutionary change which is more sustainable.
Right. So it helps you to identify opportunities for change more easily.
And then in pure decision support, I work a lot at C-level in organisations.
Yep.
There's a classic quote from Hewlett-Packard, if only we knew what we knew. And the trouble is, somewhere out there in the company, there are people who are thinking differently, but it's not getting through to senior management.
Right.
So what we do with a product called MassSense is you can define the whole of your workforce or the whole of your customers, and you can literally present infographics to them which they interpret.
Yes.
They add an explanatory narrative and a scenario, and bang, you've got a decision support system. Because you can see where the majority think, but you can find the people who are thinking differently.
Yes, okay.
And then the periods of stress, that's what CEOs need. I think the key thing to understand about SenseMaker, it's like complexity theory, which it's based on, is complexity theory is a massive paradigm shift. Because complexity is a recognition that failure is inevitable and you can't predict the future. What matters is early detection and fast recovery or fast exploitation.
Yes.
And that's what resilience is about.
Yes.
So the big use of SenseMaker is to stop doing separate projects with lead time, but to build sensor networks of your customers, your employees, that you can activate in real time around issues as they come up.
What's the risk of companies not embracing this approach?
What we're doing with complexity theory is a recognition of inherent uncertainty. So what's going to happen at an industry level, if you don't make the adjustments, you're going to go through what one CEO I talked with, he said, we're going through a Kodak moment. We're making so much money out of chemical-based film, we can't make the shift. It's what I call competence-induced failure.
Right.
So SenseMaker costs you very little to actually go and discover it, because you can replace traditional surveys at a significant reduction in cost. But it gives you that ability to spot change before your competitors.
Right. Great. Thank you.
Pleasure.
FirstHuman is an official partner of Cognitive Edge for the deployment of SenseMaker for culture change and for improved decision making. If you'd like to book a call with one of our practitioners to learn more about how SenseMaker can make a difference in your organisation, then head over to firsthuman.com.